Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. SAG-AFTRA Foundation and BroadwayWorld continue their filmed Conversation Q&A series, which celebrate the vibrant theater community here in New York City and the union actors who work on both stage and screen. This event, which is coming from the beautiful Robin Williams Center, is a career conversation with a very special guest who is back on Broadway, wowing audiences as weatherman Phil Connors in the hit musical Groundhog Day, for which he has already won the coveted Olivier Award and Outer Critics Circle Award for Best Actor in a Musical. He is also nominated for the Tony Award and Drama Desk Award for this role. Please welcome Andy Karl. Thank you so much for sitting with me.
Thanks for having me.
You are giving one of the finest musical theater performances of this or any other season. Yeah. You have been on some whirlwind with Groundhog Day. Take me back to the beginning. I know, we're going to start at the beginning.
Sure.
How did the musical originally come about for you?
Matthew Warchus called my agent one day. I think he had seen me in On the 20th Century and Rocky, and he thought I could maybe handle this part. He was looking for a Phil Connors, and I was filming SVU at the time, and I'd sort of just done a couple of episodes, and I was like in a nice groove, and I was like, I don't know if I should go back to theater right now. I just left to go do this great television show, and I was sort of like figuring stuff out because I'd never been on a set that long in my life. But I went and met Matthew just because, it's Matthew Warchus, and he's a genius in many ways, just to basically have the meeting. And then I heard the first demo of, is that an ACL brace you had to have? No, it's your headphones. I thought for sure somebody was wearing an ACL brace to make me feel better. Just no, that's good. But that is a cane. That's a cane right there. So yeah, I notice these things a lot now. I don't know why. Look, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? That's what I get. I get a lot of questions about how I did the knee. But in any case, I met with Matthew, and I heard the first demo of Tim Minchin's opening number of the show, and I was like, that's genius. And then I read the script, and I saw how they were going to take it from the movie and put it on stage in the way that you're seeing now. It was pretty much how I envisioned it in the script, as far as like how you get from one day to the next. Not the beauty that he had in mind for the set, but I got really excited, and I didn't think I was going to be. And from that point on, it was like I feel like I have to do this role. And it was weird because on Law and Order, this is a Hollywood like moment that I've never been involved in. So I'm having that. I had that moment where it was like I didn't know if they were going to sign me for the next season. They didn't know if they were going to have a next season. So this job was sitting in front of me, Groundhog Day, this tremendous theater piece that has such a journey. It's sitting right in front of me. I'm like, I don't know what to do because I want to do this so bad. And I think it was just one of those things where go with your gut. And luckily, they hired me for the role, and I took it on full strength, 100%. And I got to go to London for 6 months or 5 months, and that was another thing that was really intriguing. I'd never done anything in London, never played any theater in London, and visited there for maybe 3 days once when I was 15. So I don't remember it well, but I got to live there, get to see the culture and how they deal with theater, and theater is very, very sacred there in many ways. Also, it was at the Old Vic, which was a beautiful theater with a lot of history. The original Olivier. Sir Olivier was there, just being a part of that was, hugely dynamic and just wonderful.
Well, you mentioned Law and Order. Go back to your audition for Phil. Did you have a friend in mind or a friend's sort of role in mind?
Oh, yeah. I knew that Phil was kind of a jerk, and kind of he's very quick-witted, and it's kind of how I see Raul Esparza's role on Law and Order. So I just sort of, I watched him a couple of days, and I was like, wait a minute, that's Phil. Okay, great, I got it. So I sort of just took on a lot of his mannerisms about talking over people and not really caring, like, oh, you got the information, great. I'm going to talk over you, great. We're going to get things done. And it's like, yeah, next, please, come on. And it seems like it's very like, it pushes people away, but it actually is a very like quick-witted thing where I stole from Raul Esparza for the audition, later on adding my own, flavors.
Totally. What an incredible creative team you have on Groundhog Day. What's it like living in the world of book writer Danny Rubin, composer Tim Minchin, and director Matthew Warchus?
Living in that world. It's interesting. Matthew's real quiet, and he's got a whole bunch of stuff going on in his brain. He's got a lot of pictures, and I think one of the best things in my life is when I make Matthew laugh on stage, because it's sort of like earned laughter. When I hear from him from the back of the house just laughing at something that I did, it's beautiful, because he's just, you want that. He's sort of that father figure of the show, so you're kind of like, how'd I do, Dad? And he laughed, and so he's just what he's done with the show, and it's a work of art. I look at it as a work of art because the staging is really beautiful, and the time that they took to really make those moments count in the show are amazing. There was one piece of direction in particular while we were in London that we were in previews. We didn't do this, but it's in the show now, where Ned Ryerson, we find out a lot about his character. One of the things is that his wife passed away, and he's this really jolly, sort of like almost too jolly of a character in the beginning, and you don't really, Phil doesn't want to be around him, but you get to find out more about the characters as you go along. And Ned Ryerson, you find out that his wife passed. And there's a moment where I am trying to save someone's life over and over and over again. It's all during Ned's song called Night Will Come. And there was a bit of direction that Matthew gave during the song that Ned would come down and walk front of stage, and I would follow in his footsteps after I've tried to save someone's life. And he's talking about night will come, on we'll go, and the song is really about accepting death as a part of life, and to sort of see the joy in that, or find the joy in, you have to live life every day, because night will come, it's all waiting for us, but enjoy it while you have. And there's just that in alone where he was walking and I started walking in the shadow of Ned Ryerson, and learning that from him, I thought was the most beautiful amount of staging I've ever seen in my life. And to be a part of it just ripped me to shreds. I was like, wow, that's powerful. And I still think so today.
And then Danny is like the funniest guy in the world.
Yeah, I think of him as a Dalai Lama who does stand-up. That's kind of my, what he writes, and the fact that he came up with the concept of Groundhog Day, which is sort of taking a look at your life in an esoteric way by, what would happen if you had to relive every single day over and over again? What would you do with that? And the journey of that question will take you in a million different ways, and having someone like Danny be able to pack it into something that's a comedy, that's romantic, that's esoteric, and being able to make that happen all seems like something I could never have thought of in a million years. And so I bow down to him, and many people do bow down to his idea and how it works so well. I just think with the theater piece as well, he wrote the script with Harold Ramis. So they were trying to pack it into like a 90-minute sort of rom-com way of approaching the story. And I know Danny, in some original interviews that he had with the film, and on the DVD select things that you can see interviews, where his script was very different in the beginning to what they ended up with. I feel like Danny has more to say with this show and with the theater piece as well, and they are able to just expand on some of these ideas that are huge in the very context of the story. And being able to do that, Danny has given us more humor and more quick-witted ideas and more esoteric ideas, and that's why I think the stage piece actually is an evolution of this story. Yeah, so he's terrific.
And then there's Tim Minchin. I mean, talk about that beautiful score.
Yeah, here's the thing. I mean, to have those three guys in a room who are thinkers and tinkers and also to really sort of find the depths of what it means to relive the same day over and over again and how you handle that and to write a song that can sort of encapsulate the ideas that are happening at each individual moment is it's huge, and so I just give them so much respect. Tim Minchin has this, he's like a mad scientist with who's a rock star, has a great libretto, and just his lyrics are profound but simple. Like he can write a song about three drunk guys in a bar and then talk about what it means to live in the now and be present in the now and see things through somebody else's eyes and do that in such a beautiful way that, it's beyond me. I'm just the player. I don't know how they do it.
I love that. And then there's your incredible cast.
Yeah, great cast. Don't get me started on that cast. Because I could go in a million different directions other than the fact that A, they're hugely talented, and there's a lot of character actors in the show, and I think Matthew designed the show to be, to have characters. Everybody has to establish their story within Groundhog Day. It's one of the great things about seeing the show is that you learn something pretty much about every single character in the show, and because they repeat the same day over and over again, you're seeing them come through again. You're getting their story again. They're coming through. Phil has to deal with them all the time. So by the second act, you've actually found out so much about these other characters in this town, and then they start expressing themselves. And that's the journey of Phil. He doesn't see them in the beginning. They pass by very quickly, and then second act comes around. He starts to see them for who they are, or see them in a different way. And it's hugely smart about how they've done the show. And this cast handles it so well. They're so funny and so uplifting in many, many ways. I could go on, but I don't know if I feel like there's another part of all the story that's I can compliment them even more. So we'll
get
wait.
into that.
Yeah.
Well, Phil is such a fascinating character. How do you describe your Phil?
How would I describe my Phil? I guess I just sort of, it's very personal, this story to me. It's become hugely personal. I knew I needed to bring everything that I know about myself and go beyond that in order to engage in what this character has to go through. And that's, at the beginning, I think the harder part for me was finding that, Raul Esparza, a jerk. I'm not saying Raul is, I'm saying his character in SVU is. But finding that within myself in order to engage and to sort of set the tone with Phil so that everybody in the audience sort of like thinks, oh, what a jerk. Why is this guy here? And what is he doing? And he needs to grow up. And I found it I was like, I know what I need to use in order to get there. So that was the interesting journey about finding that part of it in the first act. Second act rolls around, and obviously towards the end of the show, he's an evolved person. He's able to see things differently. And I just feel through the journey of all those shows that you mentioned I've been in, I've taken bits and pieces from everything, put them sort of all into Phil Connors. And so it's part me, it's part the characters I've played in different shows, and also some brand new discoveries of things where, I haven't gone before, especially with this, how deep this show does go. So it's a pretty deep well of things that are in there for Phil.
Yeah, because Chita Rivera always told me that. She goes, we're an amalgamation of all the roles you played that add up into the new one you're doing and the person you become.
Yeah, and I think that could be a great evolution for any actor as well. Repeating performances, repeating things that you've done before scares the hell out of me. It's one of those things where it's like, even if I could just play like some bit character who's got a totally different thing that I've never done before, that excites me. I would love to, just experience new things that way. And this show is a complete new experience. It is involving all the stuff that I've done, but it's also being able to guide one character through all that and maintain Phil Connors for who he is throughout the show. It's been it's been a great journey.
Because he's obnoxious and charming all at the same time, but the audience loves both sides of his guy.
That's great writing, but B, that also comes from just like stage experience and working with a lot of people that I've worked with that I've just sort of like, how do they do that? How do they make it happen? And it's like, oh, and you have to own it. You have to be able to own what a jerk you are in order to make him charming. It was like I was in Jersey Boys at the August Wilson Theater where I am now, and I got to play Tommy DeVito, who was that sort of gangster you loved. You loved to hate him. He did so many things horribly, but he had a charm about him, and I thought that was the best. And I watched YouTubes of Tommy DeVito, like, present day YouTubes, and he could hold a room. He loved holding a room and breaking everybody's balls, if you know what I mean.
Well, congratulations on your recent 2017 Olivier Award.
Thank you.
For Best Actor in a Musical for this role that you originated in London. What did you take away from the London run?
Oh, it's interesting because looking back on it, I take a lot of memories of the great cast there as well, a great city, a great time. My wife came out a couple times. We went to Paris a couple times, so I was like, we had like the best experience. It was, I never want to leave my dogs for that long again. Those poor guys. They suffered missing their daddy, which I know. I'm a dog person. What can I say? But what I take away from that is interesting because in London I was an unknown. I know that people know me around town here. At least if I leave 42nd Street, nobody knows me. But if I stay within this. Right within the couple blocks, I run into people who know what's going on, and because it's a small town, small theater town. So I had a certain freedom there about not being known. I could have looked at it one way. It's like I got to prove myself as the American who comes in and is like got to be real good, or just like have the freedom to let everything go. And I have no expectations upon myself other than to be like massively involved in this piece, and making the trip over there and dedicating myself to that amount of time over there. I knew that I wanted to give everything I could to the piece.
And congratulations. Also, he's also won the Outer Critics Circle Award for Best Actor in a Musical already. The path to opening night of Groundhog Day has been marked by a series of eventful preview performances. Some people in this house were at your very first performance. Talk about that first preview performance. You're all ready to go on.
Yeah, we're all ready to go on, and we had been rehearsing this, obviously, for a while. I'd been doing it, almost a year, and we never had any stage problems in London, which was crazy because the set was literally, like, put together with, like, twigs and, things, and, squirrels were running underneath. So they knew the concept of it there, but it never broke down. But then the first preview of Broadway, luckily the entire house, it was a free seated night there. That was very generous of the producers to give everyone complimentary seats already when they came. But we start the show 15 minutes in. I'm doing day one. I can feel something in the floor isn't right because the floor revolves in 5 different directions. And that thing just stopped. And over the intercom, ladies and gentlemen, we have a technical problem. I'm like, come on, man, we're here. The audience is like, they're getting free tickets. They're already like drunk, and it's amazing. So they're jazzed and we're ready. And then to have something stop like that it sucks. But the gas, like, just gas off. No, you take your foot off the pedal and nothing's going. Find out we can't fix it. 15 minutes later, Matthew Warch just comes up with this brilliant idea, which when he said it, I was like, yes. He's like, let's do a concert version of it. We'll put up seats, much like these here, have them on the stage, and we'll let the piece live by itself because the material is strong, the songs are strong, the orchestra's playing, so it's still a great night. We're all in costume. We're just sitting there. So the entire cast were up there. We're ad-libbing stuff, and we're having a blast with the just the material because it's so good and it's so funny, and the audience was totally with us, 100%, 110%, because they were also experiencing something that doesn't really happen. Like when you go to a show, set breaks down, they do a concert version. It was kind of historic in that way where it's not been done before, or at least not that I know of. And it was perfect. It was a perfect imperfection. So I had a great time that night. It was one of those things like, yeah, theater is all about this.
The moment. We had friends that were there and said it was the most magical night they spent in the theater.
It was great, and I think just the fact that we all embraced it that way, that it was like, yes, let's go. Let's make this happen.
Well, I also want to talk about the weekend leading up to your opening night.
Oh, that weekend.
That weekend. Tell our audience what happened during the show on Friday, April 14th, because I know my Preston, James, Larry, a lot of us here were there that night.
Oh, how embarrassing. I'm sorry.
No, it was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've been cooking through the show. It's a nice preview. The house is hot. I'm just like, yeah, I'm like jumping all around. We're at the last part of the show called Philanthropy, where it's basically a number of me going around, and the cast is tap dancing, as they do on Broadway. And a giant groundhog is playing the drums, which of course, as usual. And I'm running around stage left to stage right, on stage, bringing on props. I'm saving everybody's day. They're all having if there's any problem with anybody's day, a flat tire or something, Phil Connor's to the rescue, because Phil wants to spend his time, helping, altruistic. He wants to be ready to do that, and that's what he's giving of himself that day. So towards the end of it, there's a moment in the show where I run stage left to right, leapfrog over somebody. This is full tilt running, leapfrog, catch a girl falling off a ladder, and then catch a cat falling out of a tree. So these are like, three huge things that are great and fun, and something that's, happens every night. I've done a million times. So running across, leapfrog over little Jonathan, and my ACL just rips, and I go down, and I don't know how, but somehow I saved my face from going into the ladder by, putting my forearm up. So it could have been worse. Shocking and horrible, and in front of, a huge crowd that were having a great time, and crawling off stage, realizing something is horribly wrong. I know this wasn't supposed to happen. It's not supposed to move like that. And I'm just lying on the ground, sobbing, mostly because I realize we have to open the show in 72 hours, and why is this happening to me right now? Why is this happening? I'm asking the universe. I'm so angry. I'm so sad. I'm so shocked. I'm yelling and screaming, and like I want to grab whatever fate did this to me and shake them and ask them why. And I started, calming down and breathing, and the crew's like there for me, the cast is there for me, just trying to figure out what to do. Emergency guys show up, and they're standing there in front of me, and I'm looking at them, and they're ready to take me away, and I'm like, no. I'm just about to sing a song called Seeing You, which is about the profound journey of Phil Connors realizing that he has to live in the moment. I have to sing this song. Somebody wrap me up. Andrew Karl, who's in the show, he's putting, stuff around my knee. David Lober's handing me a cane. I want to do this. No, go away. Please just let's finish the show. I'll sit on the knob. It'll be fine. Let me limp through the rest of the show. And they go with it. And I was like shocked that everybody let me do it. So. But they couldn't, when somebody's sobbing and wants what they want. It got done. So I go out on stage, and I'm playing the piano, like, at the Gallo, which, everybody's my friend now, and it's interesting and profound. And, Buster's like, don't go anywhere, Phil. And I was like, I'm not going anywhere. And then do a bachelor auction, the whole thing. So, and within that next 5 minutes of the show, I turn to the audience, and I sing this beautiful song called Seeing You that Tim Minchin wrote, which is, as I said, the journey of Phil Connors has come full circle. He's able to examine that he's been in this town, this small, tiny town, which he hated. He's been here forever, and he's never seen it like this before. He's never seen Rita, who's become sort of fallen in love with him in that one night. He's never seen anything like this. And I'm staring at the audience. Half of me is saying, like, I'm sorry, goodbye, I ruined it for everybody. But the other half is, isn't this the most beautiful moment in theater that we can all share, because you all are just applauding and giving me love, and the people behind me are the cast. As I said, I wanted to compliment them again, because they've been there from, you know, day one of rehearsal, and the show's all about this. It's all about lifting someone up who gives. And if I had to be selfish in the moment and take all that love and let it just ride and explain that I'm seeing everybody for the first time, and thank you. And it was, I could go on for another hour about what it emotionally is like. I'm not even sure what it really is emotionally, because I'm still figuring that out, but it was one of the most beautiful things I'd ever experienced, which was awesome. And then I finished the show, went to the hospital, you know, like still going, why, but still thinking about that moment that just happened. And the show must go on? Is it Rocky? Is it? It's not how hard you get hit, it's how hard you get hit and keep moving forward. You know, it's like, it's
Beautiful.
Is that it? Is everything that I've done led me to right now? Is my wife telling me, you're going to do opening night while we're sitting in the hospital, something I couldn't even see, and she's like, you're doing this. And I'm looking at her like, you're crazy. There's no way I'm doing this. Yeah. But hearing it entirely, hearing the one person that has saying like, do this, you got this. And I was like, this is life living itself in art, in theater. I'm having one of those moments. I'm having the Karate Kid moment where I'm like holding, sweep the leg, and he's like, yeah, and he does the thing. And it's Crane style, and it's awesome, and it's still hitting me many, many different ways. And it's only like, what, 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago? So it's still too much to sort of comprehend. But look, if I can pass on anything about that moment, it is that Rocky spirit, it is all that stuff that comes along with it. But, you know, all the actors, all the stuff we do, it's all courage-based. It's all about getting over fears. We're stepping out on stage trying to get over a fear for the first time. If we're getting out there and it's like, here we are, what do? We perform, okay. And then you take on the solo line, and then you offered a role in a Broadway show, which is astounding, and that's a huge thing. It's like, I'm about to step out and do it for real, here it is. And then getting over the next hump, and then being a lead in a show where you better step up to the plate and have no fear. And then to have your leg literally swept out from under you. And do you let it define you, or do you get over the fear and try to get going? It takes a lot. It takes a lot of love. It takes, you know, it takes a wife who can see that kind of, has that vision to be able to put you in that spot. But it is about getting over fears. I think maybe life is all about that.
What is the best bit of advice that you've been given, either personally or professionally, that you live by?
Well, the show must go on really hit home. That's the one that sticks out huge. Also, sort of Tim Minchin texted me sort of close to after I got the injury, or I think it was before I went on. And he's like, how are you feeling? And I'm like, I don't even know how to put it into words. He's like, I guess not, but, you know, it's taking whatever this is and what's going to define the moment. And I think it's about, what are you going to do with this moment? Are you going to sit on your couch and watch it all go by, or are you going to do whatever you can to make it work? And I think in theater, that's the like, we all live by that code. We got to get the show on. So, you know, the show must go on.
Well, I want to thank you for an incredible night. I have known you since, I think, Saturday Night Fever.
Back in the day.
Back in the day, and it's just so wonderful to watch your career rise and where you've taken us as audience members and where you've risen as an actor. And I thank you.
For that, I'll give you a little Tony Manero.
That's your little Tony Manero. And I thank you for being so insightful tonight for everybody here at the SAG-AFTRA Foundation. I love you, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen,
Andy Karl.